Well, I'm Jim French. I graduated in '82 with a master's degree. Um, Everybody's going to have pretty unanimous consent about all of the many organizational, clear explaining qualities of Jim. Two particular little anecdotes, I guess, that I have that are maybe a little personal and unique. Before I came into the master's program, I was talking with a relatively conventional-minded geotechnical engineer, shall we say, who thought that the conventional geotechnical approach was the way to go. And he said, maybe you should not take Jim Mitchell's class because it's kind of a lot of chemistry and a lot of basic science and not necessarily what you're going to need the most. So you might just skip his class. And I, for various reasons, didn't take that advice. And I took Jim's class on fundamentals of soil behavior. And lo and behold, I guess I have a pretty scientific mind that loves the basic principles of why things work. And there's probably hardly a project that I've done in the last 45-ish years, I guess, when I didn't, at least in my mind, quote from that book and go back and reference the things that that his book is about, that Jim taught in his class, the basic chemical principles, the intermolecular things that are happening, the particle to particle, the mineral structure, the crystal structure, the electrostatic forces between the dipolar nature of water molecules and the plus and the minus ionic charges of the clay minerals. And in fact, I've used his book, not just quoting it to myself in my head, but I've used it quoting to innumerable clients, explaining some basic chemical principles, chemistry principles of geotechnical engineering, to try and explain things, why there's a why to this, and not just, don't just trust me, but hey, it's all basic science. A number of years after I graduated, I guess, I don't know, 10 or 15 years after I graduated, Jim's mom was in a care facility in West Berkeley. And it turns out that my grandfather was in the same facility at the same time as his mom, and my great aunt was in the same facility at the same time, and my wife's grandfather were all three in the same facility at the same time as Jim's mom. And my wife and I would go in pretty frequently to visit my grandfather, great aunt, and grandfather-in-law. And very often we would see Jim there and see Jim with his mom there. We got to recognize, I mean, Jim and I recognized each other, but I got to recognize his mom. And so we would interact and chat, and he would recognize my family. And so we would chat. He was just such a perfect gentleman, always such a caring child to be visiting his mom on such a regular basis. So everything is just completely fond memories of fondness as well as admiration.